Welcome to AnimeCons TV, we're your best source for reports and discussions about AnimeCons and other fan conventions. I'm Doug Wilder. Every so often, AnimeCons TV takes a break from our regular episodes to talk about recent convention news and also respond to some of the questions and comments that we get through our social media and posted to our videos. So let's start right up with the news, because there's some interesting ones this week. In convention news, we could talk about Walker Stalker conventions canceling more conventions and having an unfavorable rating with better business bureaus. Or we could talk about Legionnaire's disease being contracted in a Dragon Con host hotel shortly before the con. Or we could talk about Tokyo and Tulsa's remote vendors hall and ejecting an artist who complained about it. Or we could talk about convention organizer Ryan Kopf's being banned from Anime Milwaukee following allegations of sexual assault, or the Colossal Con chairman and cosplay head both being forced to resign following controversial social media posts. Instead, we're going to give you an update on the lawsuit that voice actor Vic Mignogna brought against Jamie Marchi, Monica Rial, Monica's fiancé Ryan Toy, and Funimation. In a hearing on this past Friday, September 6th, the judge dismissed Vic's case against Jamie Marchi completely. The judge also dismissed the two tortious interference allegations against Monica Rial and Rontoy, as well as allegations that Funimation participated in tortious interference and civil conspiracy. Out of the original 13 claims, only the five claims remaining are defamation against Monica, Ron, and Funimation, and civil conspiracy against Monica and Ron. The judge will rule on these remaining allegations by October 6th at the latest. Bench dismissals such as the 12 that the judge did are actually quite rare, but Vic's lawyer, Ty Beard, was quite disorganized and unprepared. For example, in the case against Jamie Marchi, he hadn't actually presented any evidence that constituted defamation and has absolutely no evidence of any conspiracy other than she had liked other people's tweets. You can find the full transcript of the hearing on Twitter, but we'll put a link in our show notes just so you can take a look at it. Given that the judge is obviously impatient with Vic's lawyers and based on the opinions of more than 50 independent lawyers who have been following the case, it is extremely unlikely that Vic Mignogna has any chance of winning any of his claims. In the event the cases are dismissed under TCPA, which is Texas's anti-SLAPP law, Vic would be held responsible for paying the defense's legal fees. Since Jamie Marchi's case has already been dismissed, Vic is already responsible for her legal fees. Although Vic can appeal, given that the case was dismissed for not having any evidence, the success of any appeal seems impossible. It's really weird to see this moment in a kind of American anime convention fandom. It's a tough one. I think Vic's been kind of what they call missing stair in some of the convention community, which is, everyone says, oh, watch out, there's a staircase. Everyone says, watch out for that missing stair, and just tells everyone who, hey, just be aware of that, be aware of that problem issue, instead of addressing the actual thing, which is fixing the broken stair. So it's going to be very interesting seeing how many conventions have canceled Vic as a guest. I mean, my personal opinion here is I think he's going to get a very rude awakening, and if he's gaining money from appearance fees or anything from all these conventions, and now all of them have canceled, and he's going to have to pay some legal fees for these people that he tried to have a lawsuit against, that's a pretty big deal, and he's going to have to look at other means, and maybe he'll find another career or something else, who knows. But I think, now that a lot of companies really want to avoid contact with him, I think it's going to be very difficult. Alright, enough about that. Let's check in our mailroom for some more feedback. First, we got a con report from Jake. Jake says, Greetings, AnimeCons crew. I wanted to give an update on Animazement in Raleigh, North Carolina this past Memorial Day weekend. If you remember my report from last year, I had mentioned one of those mega catch-all conventions moved in a month and a half after Animazement and is now entering its third year. As expected, attendance has dropped off a bit from the 14,000 plus high of 2016. It's now around a comfortable 10,000 to 11,000, and from about 5 years ago, though no one has reported attendance numbers in the last few years, probably for obvious reasons. Though you have mentioned numbers do not mean a bad or lower quality convention. If anything, they are still one of the best anime conventions in the tri-state area next to AWA, that's Anime Week in Atlanta, Georgia. A lot of problem attendees that got kicked out or wheeled out away by EMS have drastically gone down from what I have been told by staff. Though with less attendees means less money for guests, though they did manage to score a lot of great talent that worked on Sailor Moon and DBZ, as well as a few directors like Masuo Maruyama from Madhouse, Koji Nagai of My Hero Academia. A lot of their invited guests are repeats of the last 2 years, probably due to having good connection with the staff and the convention. It did leave me a bit disappointed in the lack of new talent, or at least have not been seen in a long time. Maybe it's just since this is my sixth consecutive year of attending, I notice these things more. I know I sound like I'm complaining a lot, but I did have a good time overall. Panels and guests were great. Lots of good people, food, and friends. Hopefully next year they mix things up a bit, but we'll have to wait and see. Thank you for your time, Jake. Hey, Jake, that's a great con report. You said some good pros and cons, yes, pun intended, about the convention. We like hearing about that. It is a little tough to sometimes see a con shrink, but at the same time, if you're seeing kind of the problem attendees go away, they're no longer coming back for whatever reason, that's kind of nice. I'd rather have, a lot of fewer good people than try and cram everyone in, than maybe get some problem people. So I think that's a good thing. As far as repeat guests, I think it says a lot to a relationship with the convention that if a guest is coming back consecutive years, that both the con staff and the guest are having a good time, and that's always a good sign. So it's neat to see that. I understand you do want to have fresh faces in there. You don't want to have the same old people every single year, but knowing that people are enjoying themselves, I think says a lot about the quality of the con. And I think for guests, it's not just how the convention treats them, it's how the attendees treat them. So I think that like you said, there's problem attendees no longer coming, so that means the more good attendees coming for making a good time for guests. Alright, first we got a voicemail. Actually, we got two. Let's play the first one. And voicemail time.
My name is Duncan. Company James in Dallas, Texas. I'm calling from Dallas. We would like to talk to you about coming to ACON this weekend, or how to get in touch with you, or how to get whatever. I can't find anything on your website to help me out whatsoever, except just to drive to your place when you're here. It's the only I can find. And it's one phone number. So anyway, I would like to speak with you and concerning doing shows with you as well as other cities. We do about 45 shows a year, and we normally do 2 10x10 booths, or up to 5 or 6 8-foot tables, or adjust to whatever is necessary. Anyway, we sure would like to be able to talk with you. And if you have any room available, we are available this weekend, or can be. So I'll be waiting for your call. Number is 211. And since it's Monday, there's a time or two we may be out for a little while. Otherwise, that number is good most of it all day and evening. Please call. Thank you.
Well, it's been a while since we had someone think we are run all the conventions everywhere, so that's unfortunate. Just kind of a word of advice if you're someone who's looking to be a vendor at a convention. It's like any other person going to cons. Do your research. Look up the convention. look up the convention, find out stuff about it, and yeah, don't just Google AnimeCon, because you'll probably find, AnimeCons TV or AnimeCons.com. We don't run any shows. I mean, we're staff at a couple, but we don't make the events. So do your research. If you're really looking into it, talk to other vendors that you know are going and ask them for info. Network that way. Maybe we should actually talk to a couple people who do booth at conventions, like serious vendors, when they're not busy at a convention, and ask them what it's like. Maybe that's an idea for an episode in the future. Someone make a note of that. Alright, moving on. Next up, Dave wrote, "Hello, I'm creating an Otakon videos for my group, and we have a lot of pictures but no footage this year. I was wondering if you had any video clips. We would put a link to your full video and give a credit and links to your pages and channel. I hope we can reply. Thanks for your time. P.S. Really love how organized your team is. Very professional in presentations." Unfortunately, we can't really share that because it's not commercial. So, unfortunately, we can have to say no. We'd prefer not to have that stuff out. You can talk about like some of the things we've said, but unfortunately we can't release our footage. Sorry about that, Dave. In response to our privacy policies for conventions, Glitter and Duct Tape said, "Thank you for this video. I will be passing this on to others." Awesome. In response to Patrick's report on SAC Anime Summer 2019, The Musical Boy 26 wrote, "It's funny because a lot of artists I was venting were complaining about the low turnout rate this year. I do know for sure Friday was quite dead. We had 4 hours of barely anyone walking through our site." Oh, that's rough. Also about SAC Anime, Zaewang Dejore, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, wrote, "Day one was a lot less people, and this is obviously due to many things. First is many of the schools are still in session. Second, many are still recovering financially from the AnimeCon, which happened a week or two prior." Dylan Trend Studios commented on our SAC Anime report to say, "I miss when Pat does the report right at the convention." Pat is doing that too, but lately he's had to run home after many cons because he's got a family and hasn't had time to talk about the con until after his kid's asleep. So, growing changes. On the episode in Staying Cool in Costume, YF Set 8 wrote, "I really appreciate this. The last convention I attended, I was just dying in my armor cosplays and thick fabrics. I bought a minifan off Amazon to keep in my con bag after that." I'm just going to jump in there. I'm recording this literally just after I got back from Granite State Comic Con. I was with the 501st Legion, and once again you can see my bucket right there. And it was very warm and stuff, and I actually had one friend of mine who was also in armor start to get really dehydrated. You really got to pace yourself. Yes, your costume looks cool, but your costume's not going to look cool if you're passing out, falling over and breaking it, and you can always take a break from your costume and wear it again another time. Exhausting yourself isn't a good idea, so please take care of yourself. And if you've got someone who's just kind of your wrangler, make sure they're checking in on you, making sure you're staying hydrated, things like that. Take breaks. It's okay to take care of yourself at a convention, especially if you're in a very warm costume. In response to Shiva's DragonCon report, the J-Rock Freak said, "I always love hearing about people out of state going to DragonCon. Meanwhile, I'm born and raised in Georgia, and I go to every convention we have here except DragonCon. LOL. Well, you go to the cons that are going to make you happy." In response to the episode on starting a convention, Joy Lily Music said, "Thank you so much for this video series. I have staffed a large themed convention before moving 2,500 miles across the country. For years, I've wanted to create my own show, convention or otherwise. With my experience, I'm aware that there are blind spots. Your series helped fill in some of those spots. I'm sure there's a lot of updates, but is there perhaps any updates you can still think of that would be beneficial in addition to these 2 videos?" So, the only real update is, once again, still don't start a convention. That's the best piece of advice we can. I mean, we all love conventions and stuff like that, but it is a lot more work than people realize. So, yep. And finally, we have one more voicemail. So, let's play that real quick. Alright.
Hello! I'm a shouting man, and I wish for you to bring your many anime conventions to my area. Since you're totally in control of all these anime conventions, I know that you can do so forthwith and toot sweet.
Well, that's our old friend Movie Phone Guy. Well, I was considering maybe bringing an anime convention to his area forthwith, but when he asked for toot sweet, all bets are off. No, we're not going to do that. Sorry, Movie Phone Guy. And no, don't start your own convention. Don't do it. Watching you. Alright, now let's see what's coming up next. So, coming up on AnimeCons TV, we're about to take another break from episodes. We've got a lot of busy stuff. Life happens, unfortunately, but we'll be back soon. When we return in November, we'll have an exclusive interview. We'll actually have my interview for Otakon when I talk to voice actor Toru Furuya. I'm really looking forward to you guys seeing that. He was a great person to talk to. We'll also have cons reports from Anime NYC, Rock and Shock, a horror movie and music convention. And if you see us at any of these cons, please say hello. I actually got stopped at Otakon this past year by someone who watches the podcast, and it's always neat to meet fans. So we love talking to people, so don't be afraid to say hi if you see us. Our next news and feedback episode will be on December 2nd, followed by our 2020 predictions, the best of 2019, and our 2019 year in review. And don't forget to send us your feedback. If you have questions or comments, send them in before Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. We should clarify that in case anyone's watching in Canada or another country. This is just to make sure we have them in time for the next news and feedback episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment right below. While you're there, you should also like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave us a voicemail. Don't ask us about running a convention, where to bring a convention. But if you have a question or have a con report that you want to share, do so. You can call us at 762-ADEQUATE. That's 762-233-7828. Also, you can even text that number. So if you want to put that in your phone and you see something cool at a con that you don't want to leave a long voicemail message, just send us a text. And don't forget that you can email us at podcast@animecons.tv. And don't forget to tell your friends. When we're back on November 11th, new episodes will be on Mondays at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, through December 23rd. We post about them on Facebook and Twitter, so please make sure you share and retweet those links or share our YouTube video once they go up. Telling your friends about us is such an easy thing to do, and it really does help get our numbers out. A lot of people we've met that we've talked about meeting at conventions say that they were introduced to the podcast by their friends, or they've recommended to friends, which is kind of the best thing you can do for us. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to us. Once again, you can do it for free. You can do it on YouTube. You can also find us on iTunes at itunes.animecons.tv, or you can just watch our site at animecons.tv. Don't forget, you can also follow me at Nigoki on Twitter. Sometimes when I'm watching anime, I also just kind of live tweet reactions, which is at Nigoki Watches. So thanks, and we'll see you guys next time.